Tom lived on a quiet moon called Green Rock. It was far from Earth. The sky was always dark, and the ground was cold. People had come to this moon many years ago to grow food and build farms. Tom's family had lived there for 3 generations. Tom was a simple boy. He worked on his father's farm, fixed broken machines, and watched the stars at night. He liked to be alone, while others played games or told stories. Tom liked to sit near the old tower and listen to space signals. The tower was used long ago to talk with Earth, but now it only made noise. One night, Tom sat near the tower as usual. He turned on the small radio he had fixed. At first, there was nothing but static. Then he heard it, a soft sound, like music, made of shapes. It was not a voice. It was not a machine. It repeated the same way each time. He listened carefully. The pattern came every 10 minutes. It was strange but beautiful. He stayed there all night, writing the shapes in his notebook. He called it the dream code. The next night, it came again. Then again the next, always the same soft pattern. Tom began to feel like someone was trying to speak. He wanted to tell others, but he knew they would laugh. They always said he spent too much time with machines. So he kept it secret each night. He sat under the tower, listening to the code. He tried to copy it with music, using his old guitar. He made soft notes that sounded like the signal. He felt peace when he played it. He felt close to something far away. 1 week later, while walking home, Tom looked up and stopped. There were lights in the sky. Not stars, not ships from Earth. They moved slow, like they were watching. The lights came closer and floated over the forest near his farm. Tom ran to tell his father, but by the time they came back, the lights were gone. The next day, the signal stopped. Tom waited all night, but nothing came. No pattern, no sound, only silence. He could not sleep. He felt something was missing. He walked to the forest, to the place where the lights had gone. The trees were tall and thick. He had never gone far inside before, but this time he followed the path. Deeper and deeper he walked, until he saw something strange, a shape between the trees. Silver, smooth, and round. It was a ship, half covered in moss and dust. It did not shine like metal, but it looked strong. He hid behind a tree. There was no sound, no door, no light. Then he saw her. She stood near the ship. She was not human. She was tall, with silver skin that looked soft like cloth. Her eyes were large and blue. She had no mouth, only smooth skin where her lips should be. She wore a long robe, simple and gray. She did not run. She did not attack. She looked at Tom and tilted her head. Slowly, she bent down and drew a shape in the dirt. It looked like one of the dream code symbols. Tom stepped forward. He pointed to the shape, then took out his notebook. He showed her the pages full of the same shapes. Her eyes widened. She touched the page with care. Tom smiled. She did not smile back, but she drew another symbol. This one was new. 2 circles, joined in the center. She looked at him, then at the shape, as if asking something. Tom did not understand, but he nodded. She stood up and walked back to the ship. She turned once and looked at him, then disappeared behind the trees. Tom stood there for a long time. Something inside him had changed. That night, he did not sleep. He listened to silence. He thought of her. He thought of the code. And he knew one thing for sure. She was real, and she was trying to talk. The next morning, Tom woke early. He ate quickly, packed food, water, a blanket, and his notebook. He told his father he was going to fix the old tower again. His father just nodded. Too busy with the broken harvester. Tom went straight to the forest. The path from the night before was still fresh. Branches were bent, footprints still clear in the soft dirt. He followed them with care. Every sound in the forest felt louder today. Wind in the trees, birds above, dry leaves under his boots. After walking for almost an hour, he saw it again. The silver ship stood quiet under the trees. It looked more like a shell than a machine. Its surface had no marks, no doors, no lights. It just sat there like it had grown from the ground. She was there too. She sat on a smooth rock near the ship, legs crossed, hands resting on her knees. Her silver robe shimmered in the sunlight that came through the leaves. Her eyes were closed. Tom took a few steps forward and stopped. He didn't want to scare her. She opened her eyes slowly and looked at him. She didn't move. She didn't speak. Tom raised his hand and gave a small wave. She tilted her head, then stood. She walked to him, slowly, calm and steady. When she stopped, she bent down and drew a symbol in the dirt. It was the same one as yesterday. 2 circles joined in the center dot. Tom knelt down beside her. He took his notebook from his bag and opened it. He pointed to the same shape he had copied last night. She touched it gently, then looked at him. Her large blue eyes didn't blink. Tom took out a piece of fruit and held it out. It was round and sweet. Something his farm grew in the greenhouse. She looked at it for a long time before taking it. She held it with both hands, smelled it, then took a small bite. Her eyes closed as she chewed. She seemed to like it. Tom smiled. He took out a second fruit and ate with her. After they finished, she drew more symbols. Some he knew, some were new. Tom copied them all carefully in his notebook. Then she picked up a stick and began drawing something bigger in the dirt. It was a picture. She drew a tall tower, a strange sun, and a round planet with lines circling it. Then she drew a smaller shape, maybe a ship leaving the planet. Finally, she drew fire. Tom watched her hand move. The shapes told a story. Her world had fire, maybe war, maybe danger, and her ship had escaped. That was what he understood. Tom picked up the stick and tried to draw. 2. He drew earth or something close to it. Then he drew trees, farms, and a small house. He pointed to himself and then to the drawing. She watched carefully. Then she reached out and touched his hand. She placed it on the joined circle symbol. Tom didn't understand the meaning, but he felt it was important. Maybe it meant connection or friend or understand. He didn't know yet, but it mattered to her. The sun began to fall behind the trees. The air grew cold. Tom took out the blanket and placed it on the rock. He also left a few food packets near the ship. She watched him, but didn't move. Before leaving, Tom looked at her one last time and spoke softly. "I'll come back." Of course, she didn't understand the words, but she gave a small nod. It was enough. Tom walked back home under the stars. His heart felt full. He had not spoken much that day, but somehow he had shared more than ever before. Over the next days, Tom returned to the forest again and again. Each time, he brought supplies, food, tools, paper. Each time, she was there, waiting. They never spoke with voices, but they found ways to share. She taught him symbols. He showed her sounds. He played his guitar once, soft music under the trees. She listened with her eyes closed, then hummed back a sound that was deep and smooth, almost like a song from far away. Tom didn't know her name. He tried asking once by pointing at himself and saying Tom, then pointing at her. She placed her hand on her chest, then drew a shape in the air, a curved line with a small star above it. He could not say it, but he remembered it. She began to show feelings through touch and light. Her skin changed color when she was calm, soft silver, and blue. When she was curious, her eyes would glow slightly brighter. One evening, she drew a strange new shape in the dirt. It looked like a tree, but with stars instead of leaves. She touched Tom's chest, then drew the shape again. Tom didn't know what it meant, but later, when he slept, he dreamed of a tree under the stars. A tree that grew thoughts, not leaves. In the dream, he stood beside her, looking up. He woke feeling strange, like a message had passed between them during sleep. He wrote it all in his notebook. That night, as he watched the sky, he wondered one thing. If she could not speak with words, how did her people talk? And slowly, he began to understand. They spoke through dreams, and somehow, she was trying to teach him how. The days passed slowly on Green Rock. Life on the farm stayed the same, but Tom had changed. He worked in the fields during the day, but his heart was always in the forest every evening. He packed his bag with food, tools, and his notebook. Then he walked the same path under the trees, The alien girl was always there, waiting near her ship. She never spoke with her mouth. She never made a sound with words. But every time Tom came, she showed more symbols, more pictures, more quiet understanding. Tom gave her a name in his mind. He called her Lena. He never said it out loud. He didn't know if she had a real name he could say. But the name Lena felt right, soft and calm, just like her. They sat together in silence. Most of the time, Tom would draw shapes in the dirt, and Lena would add her own. Sometimes they just watched the trees move in the wind. Sometimes she drew pictures of stars and strange machines. Her drawings were full of emotion. Tom could feel sadness in some, peace in others. One night, Tom brought his guitar again. He sat near her and played a slow song, simple notes, soft and careful. She closed her eyes and listened. Then, to his surprise, she began to hum. The sound came from deep inside her chest. It was not like a human voice. It was soft, layered, and rich. It felt like water moving over stones. It matched his music in a way that made his skin tingle. Tom stopped playing and listened. Her hum continued, flowing like wind through tall grass. She was singing, not with words, with feeling. When she finished, she opened her eyes. Tom looked at her and smiled. He placed a hand over his heart and nodded. She did the same. That night, Tom dreamed again. This time, it was not just shapes or colors. He saw her. Lena stood on a hill, under a sky full of moons. Behind her, tall towers of glass reached into the clouds. The ground below was broken and dark. Then, fire filled the sky. The towers fell. Lena turned and walked away. Alone. Tom woke with his heart racing. The dream felt real, too real. He ran to his notebook and wrote down every detail. The next day, when he saw her again, he drew the dream, the towers, the moons, the fire. Lena saw the drawing and froze. She looked at Tom for a long time, then stepped forward and touched the page with both hands. Her eyes were wide. She understood. He had seen her memory. She knelt down and drew a circle around his drawing. Then she placed her hand on his head and closed her eyes. Tom didn't move. He felt a warmth in his mind, like light pressing gently against his thoughts. Then he saw new images, a garden full of blue trees, a child running through glowing grass, a home in the sky. He opened his eyes, and Lena was still touching his head. She was sharing her dreams. And he was starting to receive them. Tom realized something that made his breath catch. She didn't speak because her people didn't need words. They spoke through thoughts, through dreams, through shared feeling. But humans couldn't do that. Not normally. Somehow, Lena had found a way to connect. And Tom had found a way to listen. He built a new shelter near her ship using parts from old farming machines. It wasn't much, just a roof, a wall, and a mat to sleep on. He wanted to stay longer each night. The forest felt safe now. With her near, he didn't feel alone. Every night, they sat under the stars. He played music. She hummed. Sometimes they both closed their eyes and sat still, dreaming together. The more time they spent, the stronger the dreams became. Tom no longer needed sleep to feel them. Sometimes, even while awake, he saw flashes of her world. A bird flying through clouds made of light, a city that floated over water, a child laughing beside a tree that sang. He showed her earth through dreams too. He dreamed of his farm, his father's voice, rain on metal rooftops, his mother's hands baking bread before she passed away. Lena always listened without speaking, her hands folded in her lap. One day, she gave him a gift. It was a stone, small and smooth, but it glowed faintly in the dark. When he held it, he felt calm. He slept with it beside him, and the dreams came, clearer than ever. He knew it was not just a rock. It helped him dream in her language. One evening, Tom asked the question that had lived in his heart since the beginning. He drew two simple pictures, one of her standing alone, the second of her standing beside others like her. He pointed to the first and looked at her with raised eyebrows. She looked at the drawing for a long time, then slowly erased the second picture. Tom felt a cold silence between them. She was alone. No One else had come with her. He wanted to ask more, but he didn't. Instead, he sat beside her and held the glowing stone. That night, the dream was quiet. Just a field of stars. No war. No fire. Just peace. Lena stood beside him in the dream. And for the first time, she smiled. A real smile. Not made with lips, but with light. Tom woke with tears on his face. Something powerful had started between them. Not just understanding. Something deeper. And even though they could not speak with words, they were learning to hear each other. Through dreams. Tom now lived two lives. One on the surface, where he helped his father with the crops, fixed old machines, and said very little. The other was in the forest, where silence had more meaning than speech, and where a quiet alien girl was teaching him how to speak without words. Each night after work, he went to the trees. Lena was always there. Sometimes she waited near her ship, sometimes sitting beside the small shelter Tom had built. She didn't speak, but she was never silent. Her presence spoke more than any voice could. Tom had learned many of her symbols. Now, she wanted him to learn something harder. She wanted him to dream on purpose. Until now, their dreams came by accident. When he slept near her or held the glowing stone, his mind opened, and he would see her world or share pieces of his own. But Lena needed more. She needed him to control the dream, to speak through it. One night, she showed him how. She drew a circle in the dirt, then placed the stone in the center. She motioned for Tom to lie down inside the circle. He obeyed. Then, she placed her hands just above his forehead and closed her eyes. Tom felt warmth move through his head. His breathing slowed. The forest faded. In his mind, he stood in a long hallway made of soft light. On the walls were moving pictures, like windows showing old memories. He walked past one and saw his mother again, smiling at him as she baked bread. He walked further and saw Lena standing in a wide field under two suns. She held out her hand. Tom took it. Together, they stepped into a garden floating in the sky. Trees with glass leaves sang when the wind touched them. Birds shaped like ribbons flew past. Everything was calm. Everything was bright. Then Lena changed the dream. The garden disappeared, replaced by a dark room full of symbols. The walls glowed with light from her language. The symbols moved, twisted, and danced. Tom felt them like sound, like music inside his bones. She wanted him to choose one. He reached out and touched the one that looked like an open hand. The symbol flashed. The dream shook. Suddenly, Tom found himself standing in front of a mirror. But his reflection was speaking, not with words, with light, with symbols floating around his head. It felt like he was talking in her language, not just copying, understanding. Then, the dream broke. He woke up in the forest. Lena was still there, her hands now resting in her lap. She opened her eyes slowly. Tom sat up, heart pounding, mind racing. He had done it. He had spoken through the dream. Lena nodded gently, then picked up her stick and drew a symbol he had never seen before. It looked like a star with a path going through it. He pointed at it and raised his eyebrows. She drew another, simpler symbol beside it. It meant begin. Tom looked again at the star path symbol. It meant start of true learning. From that day, their sessions changed. Tom built a simple dream pod using parts from his father's broken sleep chamber, solar panels, and pieces Lena gave him from her ship. It looked strange, like a half-open egg with wires and lights around it. At night, he lay inside, placed the stone on his chest, and Lena would sit beside the pod. She guided him through dreams, helping him find control. Some dreams were easy. He dreamed of trees, skies, and music. She responded with songs and light. But some dreams were hard. Lena made him face memories he had buried, times when he was lonely, times when he had cried alone in the barn after his mother died. She wanted him to feel fully so he could speak clearly in her world. Tom understood. Her people used emotion to speak. Dreams were made of memory and heart. Only honest minds could share true meaning. One evening, Tom showed her a dream of Earth. Not the old Earth from books, but the Earth he wanted her to see. He created it in the dream. Green fields, rivers full of light, birds singing, people smiling, music in the wind. Lena walked through it in silence. Then she touched one of the dream flowers, and it turned into a glowing circle. The same symbol she always drew, the joined circles. He now knew what it meant. Together. It was not a question anymore. It was her answer. She was not just teaching him. She was choosing to share her world with him. She had trusted him with her voice, and now he could speak back. The next night, they didn't use the pod. They sat under the stars, side by side, the glowing stone between them. Tom closed his eyes. He didn't fall asleep, but he still dreamed. Lena joined him in the dream without touching him. They stood on a quiet beach, water glowing blue. Tom raised his hand and shaped a symbol in the air. It was a new one she had never taught him. She watched it form, then looked at him. He had created his first dream word. Her eyes filled with soft light. She stepped forward and touched the symbol. Then she created one of her own beside it. When the two symbols met, they joined like puzzle pieces. The meaning was clear. You have learned. Tom smiled. Lena reached out and placed her hand gently on his heart. No sound was needed. He understood. He was no longer just a listener. He was now a speaker in her silent, dreaming language. The days after Tom learned to speak in dreams were filled with new hope. He felt closer to Lena than ever before. Their silent talks in the dream world had made a strong bond. But one morning, the calm was broken. Tom woke early as usual. The sun was just rising over the green hills of the farm. He packed his bag and walked to the forest. But when he arrived near the silver ship, he noticed something different. The ship's surface was glowing a soft red light. It was a warning. Lena stood nearby, but she looked scared. Her usual calm was gone. Her skin had changed color, shifting from silver to a faint red shade. Her large blue eyes were wide and anxious. Tom approached carefully. She drew hurried symbols in the dirt, circles with sharp edges, lines crossing them like signs of danger. She pointed to the ship, then up at the sky. Then she drew a symbol that looked like a black circle with spikes. Tom did not understand all of it, but the feeling was clear. Danger was coming. For the first time, Lena's silence was filled with fear. Tom felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He wanted to comfort her, but words were useless. Instead, he took her hands gently and placed them over the glowing stone. The stone pulsed softly. She closed her eyes. Tom tried to reach her dream. Inside, he saw strange images. Dark machines with sharp edges, moving fast across empty planets. Their shapes were cold and sharp like broken glass. They hunted not with weapons, but with minds. They could enter thoughts, steal memories, and crush hope. Tom gasped in the dream. Lena nodded. Her eyes still closed. She showed him pictures of her homeworld, once full of light and beauty, now broken and silent. The machines had destroyed everything. Her people fled in ships like hers, hiding in quiet places. But the machines followed. They searched the stars. They had found her signal. They would come to Green Rock. Tom woke suddenly, sweat on his forehead. Lena's hands were shaking in his. He knew what he had to do. He had to warn Earth. Tom ran back to the farm and used the old communication tower. The equipment was outdated, but it still worked. He sent messages to Earth's defense grid, describing the threat in simple words. But the reply came slow. Earth did not believe him. They said no ships or signals were detected near Green Rock. They called it a false alarm. Tom felt frustration, but he did not give up. He worked harder. He improved the tower, used parts from the alien ship to make a stronger signal. At night, Lena helped. She drew symbols that guided him. Together, they fixed the broken systems. Tom also built a small device, a dream beacon, to send their shared dream across the colony. He hoped that if people could see their dreams, they would understand. But even as they worked, Lena's fear grew. She dreamed of fire and darkness, of machines hunting the stars. She showed Tom images of other ships falling, their crews lost. Tom tried to stay strong for her. He held her hand when she was quiet. He played soft music to calm her mind. But one night, Lena drew a new symbol. It was a simple circle with a sharp line cutting through it. She looked at Tom and shook her head slowly. She wanted to leave. She did not want to bring danger to Tom or Earth. Tom understood her choice, but he refused. He shook his head and held her hands. "Stay," he said quietly. She looked at him long and then nodded. They had to face this threat together. The colony was small and weak, but humans had a secret power, the power of dreams. The warning had come true. The dark machines from Lina's dreams had arrived near Green Rock. Their ships were like sharp shadows moving through space. Tom and Lina knew they had little time. Earth's defense fleet was slow to respond. The colony was weak. Tom and Lina decided to act. They worked day and night to prepare. Tom improved the dream beacon to reach farther. Lina used her mind to guide the signal, shaping it like a net in the sky. The dream they sent was not just a warning. It was a trap. Together, they created a special dream world. The machines hunted minds, but the dream world could trap them. If they could pull the machines into the dream, they could stop the attack without fighting with weapons. Tom and Lina called this the dream trap. The night the machines arrived, the sky lit up with their ships. Sharp, cold, moving fast, they sent out dark signals to invade minds. Tom held Lina's hand as the dream trap began. They sat together, eyes closed, breathing slowly. The dream trap opened like a gate. The dark machines entered, drawn by the dream. Signal. Inside the dream world, the machines searched for minds to crush. But Tom and Lina waited. They held the dream trap strong. The machines became lost in the dream. Confused by the light and emotion, they could not find a way out. The trap held them, but the cost was high. Lina's mind burned with the effort. Her skin turned pale silver again. She gasped as the strain grew. Tom tightened his hold on her hand and whispered soft music. After what felt like hours, the dream trap closed. The machines were caught. The sky grew calm. But Lina collapsed. Tom caught her before she hit the ground. She was weak, silent. He held her through the night, refusing to let go. The colony sent ships to help. Earth's fleet arrived at last, ready to defend. But the battle was over. The machines were trapped. Lina slowly recovered. Tom never left her side. She looked at him one morning and smiled softly. The soft light in her eyes was back. She touched his cheek and drew a new symbol in the air. It meant thank you. Tom smiled back. Together, they had saved the colony. And they had shown that even without words, the power of dreams could change the stars. The days after the battle were quiet. The colony breathed with relief. The dark machines were trapped deep in the dream world. Earth's fleet stayed to help repair and protect. Tom and Lina spent most of their time together. The bond they shared had grown strong. They no longer needed drawings or signals to speak. Their dreams carried everything. One morning, a group of Earth scientists arrived. They had heard Tom's warnings and came to learn about the dream language. Tom showed them the symbols Lina used. He played music that matched her hums. The scientists were amazed. They said this was new, a way to talk that did not need words. Lina smiled softly at them. For the first time, she used the dream beacon to send a message to her people. It was a dream full of hope, peace, and friendship. The message traveled through space, reaching other ships like hers. Some replied. Tom and Lina watched the sky, waiting. The future was uncertain, but brighter. Tom looked at Lina and said softly, "You taught me to dream." She placed her hand on his heart. "You taught me to live." They had crossed the gap between worlds, not with weapons or words, but with the power of dreams. Together, they would face whatever came next, because sometimes understanding comes not from speaking, but from dreaming. And in their dreams, they were never alone.